sportsnola.com at Super Bowl 47. Pleased to be joined by our good friend, Louisiana native, who is one of, I guess, the unofficial hosts for this week, Tim Brando of CBS Sports. Yeah. Tim, I'm sure you remember all the restaurants from when you were a resident here, and you made the rounds.
Sadly, I visited too many of them, I think, this week. But, yeah, they gave me ambassadorship this week, and was flattered to be in that number that Jay Cicero and Mark Romy came up with. And, as someone that doesn't make his actual home in New Orleans, but is a Louisianian and is always received as though I'm back home whenever he's back, I was really flattered that they asked me to do that. It's very easy for me to talk up New Orleans. That's an easy thing for me to do, and I've done it on my show nationally all week long, and I do it again. And I don't even bother with prefacing the statement with, in the interest of full disclosure, this is where I'm from. I just launch right into it, I do.
So, the question that so many people ask all week, besides the result of the game, should this be in New Orleans every year?
Well, I don't know that it's feasible to do it every year, but I do think, and I just a few moments ago got done with a promotional tape for the Department of Tourism here, saying, you know what, we need it back in 2018, and it ought to be here in a rotation every 5 years. New Orleans, and it's not the only city that's in this category. I think there are probably 3 or 4 cities with New Orleans and probably South Beach being in that group. Indianapolis probably in that group. We could debate maybe what the fourth city ought to be, but New Orleans should definitely be in the rotation. Now, I understand that the National Football League owners, particularly when they build new stadiums, need, from an economic standpoint, a belief with their local community that they're going to be able to attract a Super Bowl. I understand the politics of that. I think everyone in New Orleans understands that. And by the way, Mr. Benson's doing just fine, thank you, having this event this year. So we know that. But the event itself is so big, so great. There are still times, I think, when the league needs to take a big picture view and say, okay, where really is the preference for all of the people that cover it, all the people that are coming to enjoy it, the people that are the consumers of what we do in the National Football League. And New Orleans is that place. I don't think it takes a backseat to anyone. It should be here more often than any other place. So let's just make sure it's here about every 4 or 5 years.
Not going to get an argument from me. Before we talk about your show,
yeah.
A winner. Who you like? Why?
I like the Ravens, and I think it's going to go into overtime, and if they lose, it's going to be because Jacoby Jones does something stupid, and if they win, it's going to be because Jacoby does something really electrifying, and it's great. I think it's going to be a real toss-up. And when I say doing something stupid, if you watch Jacoby, he makes big plays. But he's also making big plays because he takes risks. He's the kind of guy that would field a punt at the 5, fumble it, it's picked up, and oh, by the way, it's an easy touchdown for the other team. Or he could field it at the 5, juke, twist, turn, he's gone for 95 yards and a touchdown. And I think that may happen at some point in this game. He could make a big play, either offensively or in special teams, that could be the difference. I want overtime because I'm a corporate hack, and it's going to be great for our numbers on CBS if we have the first overtime game in 47 Super Bowls. So in the interest of full disclosure, I'll tell you that too.
In case you didn't know it, Tim works for CBS. And lastly, your show on the CBS Sports Network now has a new radio home starting on Monday. Tell the folks about that.
I'm really excited about it. I started this show 12 years ago at the last Super Bowl in New Orleans at the Convention Center on Sporting News Radio. Had no idea that it would morph into a television simulcast on a cable entity that CBS owned that they didn't have in 2001. But now they do. And so the simulcast has been great for us. We hit a completely different market by being televised on DirecTV, the Dish, as well as on a number of cable subscribers throughout the country. But we've always had, and this is just the nature of radio today, what happens so often is this or that conglomerate, whether it be Cumulus or a Clear Channel or whoever, they make changes with time and shows appear and disappear on terrestrial radio all the time. And my show, as you know, is a passionate show that personality driven, and is probably a college-oriented show, much more so than a professional sports-oriented show. Certainly we deal with professional sports. We do, and we always will. But as I've said many times over, after I talk to David Toms when he wins Colonial, after I talk about the putt or maybe the approach, what do you think he's going to want to talk about? He's going to want to talk about LSU. Well, we'll go there, on my show. And Sirius XM satellite radio is a stable entity with an audience-specific approach to putting programming on that really fits the listeners. And my show, because it's lean, has always been to college, really does have, I think, a perfect home at Sirius XM College Sports Nation. So from this point forward, beginning on Monday, February the 4th, we'll be on Sirius XM College Sports Nation Channel 91, and I think people won't have a problem finding us anymore. From a radio standpoint, I've gotten a lot of thoughts from people saying, "Hey, watch you all the time, but if I have to get in my car, I can't get you." And I know a lot of people would say, "Hey, maybe I don't pay for radio. I don't have Sirius and XM." Well, you know what? I understand that, and I know I may never get you to buy radio, but I would say to you, if you gave it a try, you probably would really love it. It's a little bit like cable television. Before we had cable, we didn't know what we were missing. Then all of a sudden we got it. We couldn't live without it. When you get Sirius XM, you start listening to it, you're like, I don't know what I was doing not having this. So now at least we know, or whether you have to purchase it or not, you know where to find me on radio.
There you go. There's your pitch for satellite radio from Tim Brando, CBS Sports. Tim, great to have you with us. And we will be tuning in, and we will see you the next time there is a big event in New Orleans, if not sooner. Stay with us here at sportsnola.com for much more on the Super Bowl.